Mara, known as the Evil One, the Tempter, or the Destroyer, is a significant figure in Buddhist cosmology and mythology. Mara represents various aspects of spiritual hindrance and temptation on the path to enlightenment. Delving deeper into Mara involves exploring several key aspects of this concept. 1. Kilesa Mara refers to the aspect of Mara that embodies defilements or mental impurities in Buddhism. Kilesas, or mental defilements, are various unwholesome states of mind that arise due to ignorance, attachment, and aversion. They include greed lobha, hatred dosa, delusion moha, pride mana, jealousy isa, and other afflictive mental states that obscure clarity of mind and perpetuate suffering. Kilesa Mara represents the aspect of Mara that uses mental defilements to obstruct spiritual progress and enlightenment. It manifests as inner obstacles such as cravings, desires, aversions, doubts, and distractions that divert individuals from the path of liberation. Buddhist teachings offer various methods for overcoming kilesas, including cultivating mindfulness sati to recognize and observe the arising and passing away of defilements without attachment, practicing ethical conduct sila to restrain unwholesome actions and cultivate virtuous behavior, developing concentration samadhi through meditation practices to calm and stabilize the mind, thereby weakening the influence of defilements, cultivating wisdom panya to discern the true nature of reality and uproot the root causes of defilements, namely ignorance and craving. Even after making progress in overcoming defilements, practitioners must remain vigilant, as Kilesa Mara can resurface and attempt to regain control over the mind. Thus, the path of spiritual practice involves continual effort and mindfulness to maintain purity of mind and cultivate wholesome qualities. Understanding Kilesa Mara deepens one's awareness of the inner obstacles to spiritual growth and the importance of cultivating virtues and mindfulness to overcome defilements on the path to enlightenment. 2. Khandha Mara refers to the aspect of Mara that relates to the aggregates khandhas in Buddhism. In Buddhist teachings, the 5 aggregates khandhas represent the components of human existence and experience. They include form rupa, feeling vedana, perception sanya, mental formations sankhara, and consciousness vijnana. These aggregates together constitute the psychophysical aspects of individual existence. Khandha Mara embodies the aspect of Mara that uses the aggregates to perpetuate suffering and hinder liberation. The aggregates are subject to impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and not self. Anicca, dukkha, anatta, which are the 3 characteristics of existence in Buddhist philosophy. When individuals cling to the aggregates as sources of identity and satisfaction, they experience suffering due to the transient and conditioned nature of these components. Khandha Mara manifests through the tendency to identify with and cling to the aggregates as I or mine. This identification leads to attachment and craving, which in turn perpetuate the cycle of birth and death samsara. Individuals mistakenly believe that the aggregates constitute a permanent, substantial self, leading to suffering when these components inevitably change and disintegrate. Khandha Mara reinforces the illusion of selfhood atta by encouraging to identify with the aggregates as belonging to a permanent, independent self. This delusion of selfhood gives rise to egoistic tendencies, conceit, and the proliferation of desires and aversions, which perpetuate the cycle of suffering and hinder spiritual progress. Buddhist practice aims to overcome Khandha Mara by cultivating insight into the true nature of the aggregates. Through mindfulness, wisdom, and meditation, practitioners develop an understanding of the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self nature of the aggregates. This insight leads to the gradual abandonment of attachment and identification with the aggregates, thereby liberating individuals from the cycle of suffering. Ultimately, the realization of emptiness, sunyata, entails the transcendence of Khandha Mara and the attainment of liberation, nibbana. By understanding the aggregates as empty of inherent existence and devoid of a permanent self, individuals can free themselves from the grip of Karamara and experience the ultimate peace and freedom of enlightenment. Understanding Karamara deepens one's insight into the conditioned nature of existence and the mechanisms of suffering in Buddhist teachings. It underscores the importance of cultivating wisdom and detachment from the aggregates as a means to overcome suffering and attain liberation. 3. Abison Karamara, or the Mara of karma formations, is a concept in Buddhism that relates to the aspect of Mara associated with volitional activities or karma formations. Abisankara. In Buddhist teachings, karma formations refer to the volitional activities or intentional actions karma that shape the course of an individual's existence. These include thoughts, words, and deeds that are motivated by intentions, desires, and mental states. Karma formations are considered one of the 5 aggregates khandhas that constitute individual existence. Abison Karamara embodies the aspect of Mara that exploits karma formations to perpetuate suffering and hinder liberation. Volitional activities driven by ignorance, craving, and aversion lead to the accumulation of karma, which in turn generates the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death samsara. Individuals perpetuate their bondage to samsara through the repeated creation of karma formations. Abison Karamara influences the course of rebirth samsara by conditioning the nature of karma formations. Positive or wholesome karma formations lead to favorable rebirths in higher realms, while negative or unwholesome karma formations result in unfavorable rebirths in lower realms. The quality of one's karma formations determines the circumstances of one's future existence. Abison Karamara creates obstacles to liberation by perpetuating the cycle of karma and rebirth. As long as individuals are driven by ignorance and craving, they continue to generate karma formations that bind them to the cycle of samsara. These karma formations reinforce the illusion of a permanent, substantial self and perpetuate the cycle of suffering. Buddhist practice aims to overcome Abison Karamara by cultivating mindfulness, ethical conduct, and wisdom. By becoming aware of the intentions and motivations behind one's actions, individuals can discern wholesome from unwholesome karma formations and cultivate virtuous qualities that lead to liberation. Through the practice of meditation and insight, practitioners can purify the mind of defilements and gradually transcend the cycle of karma and rebirth. Ultimately, the realization of nirvana entails the cessation of karma formations and the attainment of liberation from the cycle of samsara. By extinguishing the root causes of craving and ignorance, individuals can free themselves from the influence of Abison Karamara and experience the ultimate peace and freedom of enlightenment. Understanding Abison Karamara deepens one's insight into the workings of karma and the conditioned nature of existence in Buddhist teachings. It underscores the importance of cultivating virtuous intentions and actions as a means to overcome suffering and attain liberation from the cycle of rebirth. 4. Devara Mara, also known as the Mara of the Sons of the Gods, is a concept in Buddhism representing the aspect of Mara associated with worldly power, sensual desire, and spiritual delusion. Devara Mara is depicted as a powerful deity who resides in the sensual realms of existence, Kamaloka. As a celestial being, Devara Mara embodies the pleasures, desires, and attachments that characterize the realm of sensual indulgence. Despite their divine status, beings in these realms are still subject to the cycle of birth and death samsara, and the suffering inherent in conditioned existence. Devara Mara plays a central role in tempting and hindering spiritual practitioners on the path to enlightenment. As the embodiment of worldly desires and distractions, Devara Mara seeks to entice individuals with sensual pleasures, fame, power, and other mundane aspirations. By enticing practitioners with worldly delights, Devara Mara obstructs their progress toward spiritual awakening and liberation. Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of mindfulness, ethical conduct, and mental cultivation in overcoming the influence of Devara by developing insight into the impermanent and unsatisfactory nature of sensual pleasures. Practitioners can free themselves from attachment and craving through meditation and spiritual practice. Individuals can cultivate inner strength and clarity of mind to resist the allure of worldly distractions and progress toward enlightenment. Understanding Devara deepens one's awareness of the spiritual challenges posed by worldly desires and the importance of cultivating spiritual virtues to overcome them. By recognizing the influence of Devara in one's own life, practitioners can develop the resolve and wisdom necessary to transcend the obstacles to spiritual awakening and attain liberation from suffering. 5. Mara, also known as the Mara of death, is a concept in Buddhism representing the aspect of Mara associated with the fear of death, the inevitability of mortality, and the impermanence of existence. Mara embodies the existential fear and anxiety surrounding death and the cessation of existence. The contemplation of death is a central theme in Buddhist teachings, as it serves as a powerful motivator for spiritual practice and awakening. Mara represents the psychological and emotional obstacles that arise from attachment to life and the fear of impermanence. Mara reminds individuals of the impermanent and transient nature of existence. Death is portrayed as an inevitable aspect of the human condition, highlighting the fragility and uncertainty of life. By confronting the reality of death, individuals are encouraged to cultivate wisdom, detachment, and spiritual insight to transcend the cycle of suffering and rebirth. In Buddhist practice, the contemplation of death, Maranasati, is a meditation technique aimed at overcoming attachment to the body and worldly concerns. Practitioners reflect on the inevitability of death, the uncertainty of the time of death, and the impermanence of all phenomena. By embracing the reality of death, individuals develop a deeper appreciation for the preciousness of life and the urgency of spiritual practice. Mara represents not only the fear of physical death, but also the broader concept of spiritual death or the cessation of suffering. In Buddhist philosophy, liberation Nibbana is portrayed as the ultimate transcendence of death and rebirth, leading to the cessation of suffering and the attainment of ultimate peace and freedom. By overcoming attachment to the conditioned aspects of existence, individuals can realize the deathless state of enlightenment. Mara serves as a catalyst for spiritual awakening by prompting individuals to confront the reality of mortality and the impermanence of all conditioned phenomena. By embracing the truth of impermanence and cultivating insight into the nature of existence, practitioners can overcome the fear of death and attain liberation from the cycle of suffering and rebirth. Understanding Mara deepens one's insight into the existential challenges inherent in the human condition and the transformative potential of confronting the reality of mortality. By embracing the inevitability of death and cultivating spiritual virtues, individuals can overcome attachment and fear. Mara is prominently featured in the life story of Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha. According to Buddhist tradition, Mara attempted to prevent Siddhartha from attaining enlightenment by tempting him with various distractions and doubts while he meditated under the Bodhi tree. However, Siddhartha overcame Mara's temptations and achieved enlightenment, thereby transcending the cycle of samsara. The encounter between the Buddha and Mara is often depicted as a metaphorical battle between enlightenment and ignorance, virtue and vice, wisdom and delusion. The Buddha's victory over Mara symbolizes the triumph of wisdom, compassion, and moral purity over the forces of spiritual hindrance and defilement. In Buddhist teachings, Mara is not merely a mythological figure, but also represents the ongoing presence of spiritual hindrance and temptation in the lives of practitioners. Buddhists strive to recognize and overcome Mara's influence through mindfulness, ethical conduct, and the cultivation of wisdom. Overall, Mara serves as a powerful symbol in Buddhism, reminding practitioners of the importance of overcoming inner obstacles and transcending worldly attachments on the path to enlightenment. Understanding Mara's role in Buddhist cosmology deepens one's appreciation for the challenges inherent in spiritual practice and the transformative potential of overcoming them.